and welcome to West Bloomfield 911. I'm Officer Rick, and on behalf of Chief Mike Patton and my brothers and sisters in the West Bloomfield Police Department, welcome to another exciting show. We're glad to have you here, but I want to drive the people in the control room crazy. They always say, Rick, don't click your pen. I know they're yelling at me right now. Anyway, before we continue, we're going to introduce our guest for today. We're very delighted to have someone relatively new to the Township, Jennifer Tucker, Executive Director of the West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation.
Thanks.
How are you, Jennifer?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Well, glad to have you here. Now, don't run away.
I won't.
We're going to do a corner spotlight, a segment that we do highlighting an employee of the police department, okay?
Okay.
Folks, if you look on your screen, you will see the smiling face of Police Officer Chris Frederick. Now, Chris is one of the newbies. Good young guy, hired in December of 2013. I love to kid him. He's got a great sense of humor, and we're very lucky to have him. He's been here about a year and a half, but this is not his first attempt at public service. He is a man of service, and he used to work for the South Rockwood Fire Department for 3 years. So he did take the test again, got 10 points more, and was able to hire on as a police officer. So we're proud of you for passing, Chris. Only kidding, I'm going to get letters from the firemen now. His favorite food is Taco Bell, and Chris, I'll bet you don't know that it's called Taco Bell because the founder of that company, his last name was Bell. If I had founded it, it would be Taco Trabulsy, but you're lucky it was Taco Bell. Anyway, his favorite reading material is periodicals, particularly Sports Illustrated, and he's quite the outdoorsman. He loves to hunt, fish, and engage in other outdoor activities. And his favorite movie, Step Brothers, the 2008 slapstick comedy starring Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. And while he's outdoors hunting and fishing and doing all that good stuff, he loves to listen to country and western music. When I asked him about something he was particularly proud of, he said getting hired by the West Bloomfield Police Department. And Chris, we are proud of the fact that you're here as well. His favorite quote is by Bishop Desmond Tutu. You don't choose your family, they are God's gift to you as you are to them. That's a wonderful quote, Chris, and I know that you're very close with your family, and we hope you'll be close to the rest of us, your West Bloomfield family, because we're going to be with you for a long time. We hope you're here for a long time as well. Folks, we're going to turn the corner spotlight off on Officer Chris Frederick. Chris, I will see you back at the station. Now, folks, before we start talking with our guest, the law enforcement fact of the day is a grim fact. I bet you don't know that about 189 law enforcement officers are assaulted in the line of duty every day. 189. And in fact, in one previous year, over 16,000 police officers were injured or wounded in the line of duty. That's far too many. Many of these officers who are injured or wounded are confined to beds or wheelchairs. Some will never work again in law enforcement. Some are never able to work again, period. And I have some close friends, family members who are in that category. So they may not have paid the ultimate price, but they paid a very, very heavy price in their future health and in their careers in law enforcement. So please, not only would I like you to remember those who have died in line of duty, but please remember all those men and women who have served honorably and heroically and have been injured and can no longer work again. Folks, we will be right back with our very special guest, Jennifer Tucker, Executive Director of West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation. Don't go away.
You're watching West Bloomfield 911 on Civic Center TV, a service of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. For more information or to watch episodes on demand, visit civiccentertv.com/WB911. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The West Bloomfield Police Foundation raises money to help those who protect and serve the community. Whether it's emotional or financial support, the foundation provides a helping hand to officers, their families, and those in the community. For more information on the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, contact Kurt Lawson at 248-975-8900 or visit wbpolicefoundation.org.
And we are back, and if you have not already met her, you are going to meet her for the first time today. Please welcome Jennifer Tucker. How are you, Jennifer?
Very good. How are you, Rick?
Good. It's good
Good.
to have you here. You have not been here all that long,
No.
but you're no longer brand spanking new.
Right.
Yeah,
Came
how long-
December 1st of last year.
Of 2014.
14,
Okay,
yep.
very good.
Yep.
Well, now you, but this is not your first turn at Parks and Recreation.
Oh, no.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you came from? And you actually did quite a lot from the place you came from.
Yes, I was at Springfield Township Parks and Recreation for 16 years. I started there when I was 12 and a half. No. So I was there for 16 years, and that park system had a lot of fantastic resources like this one does as well. Did quite a bit of conservation work, grant writing, everything from recreation to being out in the field, treating invasives. So I've done it all. And previously to that, I was at Huron-Clinton Metro Parks at Kensington. And there I also did grant writing and also was a teamster. I drove draft horses. So I've dabbled in a little bit of everything in Parks and Recreation. So.
And it's interesting because that's really the real term for a teamster.
Right.
But I was a teamster as well, but that's because I belonged to the Teamsters Union.
Right.
And I was a railroad police officer, so it's a little different.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
But I noticed also when you were at Huron-Clinton Metro Park, you said you were an interpreter of farm animals. Now,
Yes.
I know when people speak a foreign language, someone will interpret what that person has said in English. So you would listen to the animal talk and you would tell us what he said, or is that what that means?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
Folks that come from inner city are really have not had any type of interaction with farm animals. It is a different dynamic for them
Right.
completely.
Yeah.
So we educate folks in how a farm used to work.
Okay, very good,
Yep.
very good. And I was looking at your bio, and for the Springfield Township Parks and Recreation position, it said that park had the most pristine prairie fen complex. Now, what does that mean?
Prairie fen complex is an ecosystem that has to have certain dynamics. It's kind of like what we would call a swamp. A lot of people would think of it that way. But it has a certain pH level, and certain plants and animals occur in there in that kind of complex. And it's a really delicate balance because if it's not managed correctly or invasive species invade that area, it degrades quickly.
Okay.
So this is the unique thing about that prairie fen is it's not only the largest in Michigan but in the world.
Wow.
So it was a big, it was an honor as well as a pressure.
Sure.
Because you don't want to screw something
That's
that great
right.
up. So
That's
there's 8 endangered species in that complex.
Oh, no kidding.
And the really remarkable thing about that is I was able to do conservation with $0 because we just didn't have the money. So we were able to maintain that I started actively maintaining that complex in 2005. So.
Well, you must have done a fantastic job with that because you were bestowed the 2014 Michigan Parks and Recreation Association Park Resource Leadership Awards. That's a heck of a kudo.
Yeah, that was quite an honor. It was one of those awards you win once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I was very proud of that, to be nominated by my peers.
So hired at 12 and got this award at 13.
I
right?
know,
Wow.
I know. It's amazing.
That's pretty amazing. What are you going to do the rest of your life
I
now?
don't know. I don't know.
So now you've come here, and we have, I think, a pretty remarkable park system.
Absolutely.
We have some wonderful things to offer the community. And what do you see as your position as the new park director? Obviously, we've done a lot of good things.
Oh, fantastic.
But there's always a lot of good things that can still yet be done.
I'm coming in at a high note. So we're can't go, I can't say how blessed I am to be in this community. 580 acres of fantastic parkland in a rather developed area with really fantastic community. It's just, I can't think of a better position. What I would basically bring to the table is a little more conservation. I really believe in conservations like painting your house or fixing the sidewalk. You need to maintain our ecosystem as well for future generations. So, but really, it's amazing the recreational opportunities we have here. The staff in this department is top notch. I can't say enough about them. So we're only going up. That's where we're headed. So.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yep.
Well, can you tell us what are some of the plans for the future?
Absolutely.
For West Bloomfield Parks.
Yeah, we have quite a few things going on currently. We have our Arrowhead parking lot where our trail along our trail is being expanded currently. So we really appreciate that the folks in the area are being patient with us. Weather has played an issue with us a little bit. We're also planning this fall to do some Phragmite treatments along road right-of-ways with grant dollars, in a partnership with the Oakland County Road Commission. So that's
what is that?
Phragmite is an invasive species.
Remember, we had talked about it, but I never heard about it until you mentioned it at a meeting we're at, and I don't know if many of the folks know what it is. So why don't you let us know what that is? Right.
Phragmite is a large invasive species that it can grow up to 15 feet tall. It looks similar to, it has a plume on the top. It looks similar almost like to a bamboo. Once you see it, you'll see it everywhere. And what it does is it actually invades our wetlands and will monopolize that wetland. And what happens is the native plants, animals, frogs, all that good stuff go away because they can't, there's nothing there for them any longer. There's the habitat changes. This plant actually changes the pH of the water so the frogs can't reproduce.
Oh, wow.
So it basically disturbs the entire area. The other issue with it is it creates this huge wall of vegetation which blocks, sight lines to your lakes, your waterways, access. It degrades your property values, and it also poses a fire hazard when it dies in the wintertime. So those are the kinds of things that we want to really start to combat. And Road Commission has partnered with us because they're having issues with, seeing sight lines, for people to be able to see when they're pulling out, and also drainage issues because it invades all our drains. And so we're also partnering too with the Oakland County Drain Commissioner at one of his drain sites. So there's a lot of really good things going. We're really excited about that, and hopefully we'll try to lead this charge, and help, educate our residents, and so they know what they're dealing with. Yeah,
but you don't have to do it alone. You've got some partners there.
Yes, absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
Can you tell me, where did that plant come from? How did it get here?
Well, it's funny. Invasive species, they can come from anywhere from the wool in a sheep on Columbus's boat to packing materials and come into the port of New York. So it just depends on what it is. Asian longhorn beetle that was found in Chicago and in packing materials. So it just depends on what it is. The Phragmite in general is European, but if you go to Europe, it's just one of the things in the wetland. It's not, does it take over, because there's other things that either eat it or use it. There's some other fashion.
Keep it under control.
Right. Yeah. So that is it's a balancing act. Yeah. Nature is definitely a balancing act. So.
Wow. Yep. Well, besides getting rid of this plant that we don't really want,
right?
And I assume it's not a plant that has sort of any that we know of yet, any medical or edible type of purpose or anything.
No, and actually, there's always research to try to make a bad situation better. Currently, there isn't anything we aren't finding anything that it potentially could help with that situation. The scary part is that it is so flammable. So it's one thing that we want to make sure that those situations don't arise.
Isn't that what they say is the difference between a flower and a weed is a flower has a purpose and the weed we think has no purpose?
Yeah, that could be it, yes.
Okay, so what else is coming down the pike?
Well, we have a lot of really fantastic events. The Great West Bloomfield Camp Out is a really fun event, and where folks can come out and actually camp at Marshbank Park. And then our outdoor nature room is now open for certain hours, and if you want any of those programs that you want to, get more information about, you can get a hold of our website, which is www.westbloomfieldparks.org. So you can find out all the information on our website.
Well, if I could just add, I know in the past you've had things. You have the concert series in the summertime and stuff like that, which has been very successful.
Yes.
And you also have that Touch a Truck, which is something relatively new.
Right.
And we participated in it. And I've got to tell you, when we went to that, I could not believe the amount of people that showed up for that. I thought, being a first-time event, a lot of times it's hard to get something rolling. But man, people really showed up for that, and there was a lineup of cars on Drake Road. It was unbelievable. Oh,
it was fantastic, and we've already started planning for that for next year.
Yeah.
And actually, working with Chief Patton as well to help us with that parking issue. But it was a fantastic, and just the partners that we work with that came out and brought their vehicles of different types. It was really fantastic.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, there's a lot of good things that go on in the park system. How has the reception been on stuff like you've got the dog park where people can let their dogs run loose in that? Do a lot of people take advantage of that?
They do. We have a permit system that folks, there's certain criteria that you have to, your dogs have to be licensed and also vaccinated. But we have about 400 users. So it's really great. People really love it. It's a very social situation.
For
both,
beast and human alike.
Yes, yep. So I know a lot of friendships are forged. It even has its own Facebook page.
Oh, really?
Yep, it's quite a community unto its own. So.
Now, is that open to non-residents as well?
It is. Yep. It has to be obviously the same criteria apply. So that's definitely, we want it to be a healthy place for everyone.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Well, why don't you go through some of the parks because unless you have something else, a particular interest you want to speak about, but each park has like its own identity and own theme or purpose of being there. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's funny you say that. We are currently going through a strategic planning project right now in trying to figure out what that identity should and is going to be. Obviously, most folks know about Marshbank, considered to be one of our signature parks.
Sure.
Very highly used. Right there on Cass Lake, it's just a fantastic show place.
And you can fish off the dock. You
can kayak, fish. We have a contractor that is there on the weekends so if people want to try kayaking for the first time or a paddleboard, they can go there and utilize those things there. So it's kind of a friendly atmosphere to fall in the water if you need to. So, but that's really exciting for Marshbank. Our sports parks, Drake and Community Sports Park, so highly used.
Yes.
It's really great to have a place for our youth to go out and, have fun, make those memories and also stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting too. We have a lot of partners that are involved with us in those, parent-run teams, and the relationship has been really good there too, as well.
Right, and of course at Drake you also have in the summertime they have Safety Town over there for the little kiddies.
Right.
Which is
exactly.
really good. And, and we participate with you in that as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's in anything like that we're, helping with the safety portion of things, I think is really important.
Yeah.
So we also have the aquatics facility, and that is, for the outdoor during the summertime, and we also have an indoor pool there as well. So Shoelock Farm and then Carner Farm. Carner is where the dog park is, and also a community garden. So we've had a little issue with the groundhogs at Carner Farm at the community garden can walk, talk, and wear clothes. We're thinking about starting to employ them. They're so large. But so we've had a little bit of a battle with them this summer. But we've taken some measures to try to bridge that gap, let's say. So.
Now, what about Shoelack Farm? Because it's got that nice, beautiful house over there, and it's got a very country type of atmosphere.
Yeah, it does. That facility is used for so many, baby showers. A lot of folks rent that for those types of, because it does have such a nice feel to it. That barn I know is historic. It is. Bats do seem to like it, which is all part habitat, right? So it's serving different types of purposes. So, but yeah, we're and that's in our strategic planning, looking at what our best uses are for those facilities. So, and trying to have that with fresh eyes. So.
Well, and of course, it's your main building. You have all sorts of activities as well. What are some of the things that you offer the public?
A lot of senior programming. There's always some type of dancing going on in there. Bridge, you name it. A lot of the folks come in and just to socialize, I believe. I don't know if they're really playing bridge, which it doesn't really matter, right? So a lot of different. A lot of our senior activities are there because it is in the complex. It's easy to get to. Folks know where they're coming and going. Also, our nature programs, many of them go out of that building, and then we utilize the 70 acres behind the Township Hall for the trails. So we do use that quite a bit.
Right.
So so it's pretty good.
So anything people want to do, basically.
Yeah, we cover a lot of things, and anytime anybody has suggestions, we try to the things we're gearing toward is more of experience based, because let's face it, we all have too much stuff. We're trying to do more parent and kid excursions, and also some of our kiddie sports. We have a climb club at West Bloomfield Adventure Park is also one of the things we're trying.
A climb club?
Climb club.
So tell me what that is.
At the ropes course.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So you can go and utilize the ropes course, and they're one of our partners as well within the community. A lot of teen sports conditioning, and also women's archery. So they'll have a lot of really neat things coming up.
That sounds good. Now, besides all these activities, is like when there was Marshbank, there was a big change over there where it was kind of upgraded, and the house at Shoelack Farm was remodeled and that. Do you see anything big coming down as far as expenditures like that? Well, obviously the elimination of that invasive species, but any other big things you can tell us coming down the pipe?
Well, obviously finishing that parking lot at Arrowhead would be nice. We are working on a couple other projects that haven't seen fruition yet, but as soon as we have some concrete answers, we'll be able to tell you more about that. But a lot of our direction is hinging on this strategic plan. So to tell you where we're going in the future, it's going to be, after this plan is finished, we're going to have a clear-cut vision of what's next.
And of course, you have a website they can go to?
Yep, our website, it's www.westbloomfieldparks.org.
Wow.
So.
There's a lot of good stuff. I know that we've always had a very nice relationship with Parks and Recs. We've used numerous buildings over the years till we were blessed to get this studio.
Right.
In fact, one of them was over there at Shoelack Farm. We used to use the old farmhouse, which was really kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful over there.
It is.
And of course, all the activities we do back and forth with you,
Right.
So that's always
Definitely.
a good thing.
Yep.
Go ahead. You said
I was just going to say that we definitely appreciate our partnerships with the police and also the fire departments. Fire department? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you remember what we said off camera, and I think we should say it on camera. Well, maybe we'll save it for our next guest so he knows it, but we'll have to tell him at that point. But
That's right.
yeah, it's a wonderful experience being here in West Bloomfield, because it seems like whether it's the schools, Parks and Recs, fire department, police department, we all have a nice working relationship.
Agreed.
I've talked with other officers in other communities, and sometimes they're having all sorts of difficulties with, you know, even talking to each other.
Right.
So-
We're all in the same sandbox. We
Yeah.
should be playing nice.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now let me ask you, coming from Springfield Township to West Bloomfield, what do you see are some of the big differences? I mean, the communities are somewhat different in some ways, even though there's a lot of similarities.
Yes, it is surprising how many similarities there are, even though it is a rural community. The one thing that is really refreshing, I think, is how diverse our community is. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
How supportive this community is, how they love their parks and how they value them, because it really does make it feel like you're still in the country, but
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're close to everything. So it's really, that's a couple of the things that are really fantastic about West Bloomfield.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we are glad to have you here, Jennifer, and hopefully you'll have a long and illustrious career here in
Oh,
West
thank you.
Bloomfield, and we look forward to some great things coming down the pike, and not just the township, but for Parks and Recs as well.
Definitely.
But we would like to take a minute here to remember a fallen officer. So folks, if you will look on your screen, and you will see Police Officer Joselito Alvarez Barber of the Seattle Police Department, who was killed in the line of duty on August 13th, 2006. Officer Barber was killed when his patrol car was broadsided by a driver driving a vehicle an estimated 8 miles an hour in that community. And that driver of the vehicle was wanted on 4 warrants, including DUI, driving under the influence, and she had run a red light when she struck Officer Barber's car. She pleaded guilty to vehicular homicide and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. I had spoken to Officer Barber's father, and he had told me that when she was driving that car, she in fact had only recently been released from prison for other offenses. Officer Barber had graduated from the police academy 5 months earlier. He'd been on duty for only 7 months. He was 26 years of age. He left behind a fiance, his mother and father and stepmother, brother and sister. And you might wonder, why are we remembering this young officer? Well, he is a hero for one thing, but generally we do remember only Michigan officers. But I had the great privilege and honor of meeting Officer Barber's parents in Washington, D.C. when I was out there for Police Week. I was impressed by their decency and their honor, and how much they loved their son, and I promised them I would do this. So for Mr. and Mrs. Barber, we want you to remember that your son will never be forgotten. So folks, keep this young man and his family in your thoughts and prayers. We'd like to thank our guest, Jennifer Tucker, for appearing with us today. Again, she is the Executive Director of West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation. And folks, please remember to watch us on Civic Center TV. And if you don't see us on the television, go to the internet at your convenience, and you can watch us on civiccentertv.com. On behalf of Chief Mike Patton, thank you for watching. I'm Officer Rick. Folks, please take care of yourself. Remember, tomorrow is promised to no one, so be safe and love each other. And we'll see you again on West Bloomfield 911.